Hello once again. Hello and welcome. It is February, nearly tripped over. It's February the 8th, 2008, and I think it's time for a ghost story. A story of something that happened to me. Probably 1981. It wasn't just me. I was not alone in this ghostly, spooky incident. By the way, I must thank everyone who's left comments and have listened to my UFO incident. That is really owning all the other videos. It's over 90 hits thus far in 24 hours. It's very popular. Okay, the year's 1981. I'm on night duty in Mail 8, also known as Havan Ward. The Mail 8 was dropped for political purposes more than anything else, and I've got to tell you that Havan was a male/female ward. It was a mixed ward. 22 beds, 10 male, 10 female, and 2 side rooms, 2 side wards. Now this particular night, it was probably about between 3-4 o'clock, maybe just after 4. The worst time for night staff. Anyone who's worked regular night time will know that between 3-4, just after 4 o'clock, it is deadly. It is deadly. There's something called night nurse paralysis that you can suffer from. That's another story, really. At that time, I was reading a book. My companion, who was female, the nursing assistant, probably a healthcare support worker in today's parlance, she was knitting. I was sort of reading. I probably read the same page a number of times, but what she said made me wake right up. She stood up, she put her knitting down, and she said, "John's just walked out onto the veranda." Very unusual. Now, I must tell you a little bit about John. Chronic patient, been in Poole Park. He was admitted as a young man, a young boy, to the hospital, and he'd basically been in the hospital over decades, and finished off in Poole Park. He had cancer. He was on high doses of morphine. He was a total gentleman. And I'm afraid to say he was with us for his final days. So it was concerning. John was mobile. He was able to walk around, and I knew he was in severe pain because he would come for his morphine. He would be first in the queue, and then he would settle off down into bed, and he was a gent, old John. He was a cracking lad. Anyway, a little bit concerned that he would wander into the veranda. So myself and the nurse, we came out of the office, quick shot, John, went round into the veranda. The veranda is pitch black. The veranda is actually attached to the male area, and was used in the old days for where patients would sit and help receive some sun. It was a convalescent sort of facility, really. So I'm trying not to trip up. Okay, so there was no sign of John. So that was quite a worry at the time. I seem to remember thinking, ooh. Anyway, we turned round, and when we went to John's bed, that's when we found him. And poor old John, I'm afraid, had passed into the other place, gone to the other realm. In other words, he had died, and there he was on the bed, in bed, nicely wrapped up, on the bed. But I'm afraid John had died. God bless him. Anyway, we had a lot of work to do. We had to call the doctor to pronounce death. We had to lay poor John out, and of course we had to make sure that he got up to the morgue, the mortuary, up by Bringall, that church, that area around there, the spookiest place ever. And the porter would come, the duty porter would come and take the bodies up there. Anyway, John eventually went up there, and we had our duties to perform from 6 AM until 7:30. We'd do a round and get the patients up and dressed, and dressings, toilets, you name it. It all had to be done. Make the beds, you name it, it all has to be done. And then myself and the nursing assistant went home, threw ourselves into bed and slept, and then were returning the next night. an 8 o'clock start for yet another shift. Obviously it was on our mind, and we settled down after we'd done our initial duties to talk about the incident. I pressed the nursing assistant for exactly what she had seen, and she told me that she saw John get up. She put her head down to continue knitting, but then she saw John have a roll of clothes which she put under his mattress. He then walked from his bed through onto the veranda. I said, I think you've seen a ghost. Oh, yes, she said. Oh, no, oh, I can't remember what was said. However, it was confirmed to us that what we saw was of the other world. Come midnight, it's time for our break, and an old nursing officer, one of the oldest people you could get to meet, still working, comes through the swing doors onto Havana and comes down to the office, and we sat him down and we said, this is what the nursing assistant saw. And he sat there with a smile on his face because he knew exactly what had happened. And he said it harks back to the old days when John would have been a new patient, when the first thing that had to be done with these patients was to get them into some sort of routine, to become institutionalized, really. They all did the same thing. They had to follow the orders to the letter. And what would happen in the morning is that the alarm would go. They would get out of bed, they would take their pyjamas off, they would roll their pyjamas up, and they would put them under the mattress. And then they would walk out to the ward. What my nursing assistant had witnessed was John's last act, was John's spirit finally leaving the hospital that had been his home for decades. John is free at last. John is up there with the angels, I think, because John is an absolutely cracking guy, and of course one day we will meet again, John and I, and we will meet on a level basis. And John, if you're listening to this, it was a pleasure to know you, old son, and you were a cracking lad and a good patient. Yes, indeed. That story stayed with me, and the nursing assistant who I work with, she's still going strong, and I do see her now and again, but we never talk about it. We're too busy talking. We've moved on. We're too busy talking about other aspects of our life. Work is now in the past for me and for her, and John and many like him have gone to a better place. Right, well, I think it's time now to sign off. I hope you've enjoyed this story. Thank you everyone who has been watching the videos, and I hope to continue them. And say a little prayer for John tonight. Say a little prayer for him. I will, I think. It's nice to remember him. Okay, bye everyone, and we'll leave you with a view of outside. Maybe some traffic about. Who knows? Okay, here we go. Yes, there's a car there beeping. And one just going past.